I mean, it's one option to work in a company as a digital nomad, but it's also possible to work as a freelancer. And so I think there will be new working cultures, so flexible teams based on projects. What do you think? Do you also believe in that new communities, in new, there's a lot. It's DAOs, it's different things we see, but do you also believe that will change, that we don't have this standard organizations anymore, these company corporations anymore? We will have different ways of working together.
I think so. I think that, the way that I put it is that we're going to have better problems. Right now, the problems are commuting and putting in hours and being stressed about what's going on at home.
True.
Now with remote work, you get rid of a lot of those problems, and you introduce other problems.
Yeah, welcome everybody to the Tec-One Stories podcast again. It's episode 6 already. We have a very interesting guest today. It's Devan Sood. I hope I pronounced it right, but you will do it yourself in a minute. Yeah, I'm very happy that you are here. I would say you are the prototype of a digital nomad. And since Tec-One Stories is about freelancers and digital nomads, so I think you really fit into this program. And so, I don't want to talk a lot. Just please remind that you should subscribe if you don't want to miss any of the episodes. So please subscribe now. Don't forget. And now, Devan, please go ahead, introduce yourself, and tell us your story as a digital nomad.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me. So my story starts fairly recently, actually. I left my last job in March of last year, so about 18 months ago now. And my first travel was to a little beach town in Mexico called Playa del Carmen. I was there for about 3 weeks. I had just left my job, so technically I wasn't working remotely, but I had brought 2 friends with me that were working remotely, and I saw them very easily accomplish their tasks and hit their goals. And I was thinking to myself, like, wow, life down here was great. Why are we living in these super expensive cities? Started to look into it and realized that there was an opportunity, especially while I wasn't working, for me just to travel around and experience some new places. And it kind of just flooded my heart with joy, and I started deciding to do it while I started working as well. And now I'm multiple countries in and absolutely loving it.
Yeah, this is what I always say, right? It's so easy to work remotely. You can work from everywhere in the world. You can even change your place during one job or during one project. And I also always wonder why not more people are doing this, but maybe you have an explanation for this. You are working on an app or on the software to support this. So maybe it's not easy enough yet. Maybe it should be more easy to work as a digital nomad, right?
I think it's a couple things. I think the first thing is, if you work for a big team, then working remotely is maybe 80 to 90% as efficient as working in person. The problem is that 10 to 20% gap is so deeply felt. It's so it very quickly compounds on itself. You feel the gap of what you're missing out on. And also the tooling isn't that good right now. So actually the fact that we can be 80 to 90% as good remotely as we are in person without having the proper tooling is kind of miraculous if you think about it. But as the tooling starts to emerge that's made for a remote work culture, I think we'll get much better at it, that employers will start to be much more open to it. One thing I say all the time is that it's way too good of a deal for the employer, who now can hire anybody from anywhere in the world, doesn't have to invest millions of dollars into expensive buildings, and the employee, who has an enormous amount of flexibility. They can take care of their kids at home if they need to be doing that. It's more goal and output oriented work, not hours you're putting in necessarily. So there's a lot of different shifts that are happening right now that I think will only accelerate in the coming decade.
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing, to be employed by a company who is open to it, who is innovative and works with remote workers. And I think more and more companies are starting this, right? Since COVID-19 period, more and more starting this. But there is another option, and I think it's even more exciting and yeah, even more opportunities as a digital nomad is if you're a freelancer, right? I think you also experienced that, at least with other colleagues, with people you're meeting. But I think you also have worked as a freelancer for some time in your life, right? So how would you compare being employed, being freelance? What are the pros and the cons? So can you explain us a little bit of your story as a freelancer and as an employee? So what was better?
Yeah, I'd say I worked as a freelancer consultant over the course of more than 5 years, somewhere between 6 and 8 years, a long time. And obviously, as a one-person consulting agency, I am 100% as effective remotely as I am in person because it's just me. So it gives you way more accessibility to be wherever I wanted to be. Back when I was freelancing, I was working remotely, completely remotely, despite it being pre-COVID or post-COVID. And I was still living in the same place I had lived in for forever at that point, for years. So I was, paying rent in my hometown for a year-long lease, and eventually it just didn't make sense. I decided to get out of that and start traveling, and especially as a freelancer, it would be super, super good if you're just a one-person consulting agency or whatever, to be able to go anywhere and kind of follow your happiness to wherever that leads you, whether it be around family and friends or little beach towns all over the world. Or for me, it might be one day following the tennis tour around the world, something I've always wanted to do. But it gives you this ability to focus on your happiness a lot more than being an employee otherwise would.
Yeah, and as a freelancer or many freelancers together, build new communities, new working organizations. I think there is a lot what will come. I think we are not there yet, but maybe we can talk about this in a minute. But you said, renting your own property, going around, finding the right place for living and so on. This is your topic, right? So let us know a little bit more about this, what you plan, what you have achieved already. Let us know about your current baby, Orca Pass. Yeah, let us know more about this.
Yeah, so it kind of stems from two things. The first is a question. The question being, if our income is detached from our physical location, what should our physical location be attached to? And like I mentioned, our thesis is happiness, that we should be able to follow our happiness everywhere. But right now, that flexible infrastructure does not exist. It's either vacation rentals, which are optimized for nightly stays, or the 12-month lease, which is kind of the prototypical living arrangement for renters. There's very little in between that makes it easy to maybe rent monthly or rent in different locations and have that flexibility. So what we're doing at Orca is reinventing the rental experience from head to toe. We are getting rid of brokers and applications and moving costs and furnishing costs. We make it really easy to live anywhere in the world for multiple months at a time, whether that be 1 month or 12 months, you want to be in the same place, it doesn't matter. We're going to make it insanely easy to move within the Orca network. So we'll curate the best housing all over the world. We'll negotiate prices down to make sure that they're local prices. We hire city experts to be like a friend that you have in every destination. We have a global community of other members that are traveling and creating shared experiences everywhere they go. So we're doing a lot of really exciting things for the way that people rent around the world.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely worth to check it out, to go on the orcapass.com. And we have also a little surprise at the end of this show. There is a discount option for those who are in the Tec-One community. But we will talk about this later, right?
Yeah, let's not spoil the surprise.
Yeah, and one more topic I want to talk about is, so we talked about tools for digital nomads. We talked about living for digital nomads. what about community teams? Because I mean, it's one option to work in a company as a digital nomad, but it's also possible to work as a freelancer. And so I think there will be new working cultures, so flexible teams based on projects. What do you think? Do you also believe in that new communities, in new, there's a lot. It's DAOs, it's different things we see, but do you also believe that will change, that we don't have this standard organizations anymore, these company corporations anymore? We will have different ways of working together.
I think so. I think that, the way that I put it is that we're going to have better problems. Right now, the problems are commuting and putting in hours and being stressed about what's going on at home.
True.
Now with remote work, you get rid of a lot of those problems, and you introduce other problems of how do you socialize with your managers and how do you socialize with the rest of your team and get to form those bonds. And as a freelancer, you face this no matter what, right? You are traveling alone hypothetically and need to meet new people wherever you're going. So I think that, again, we're not very good at this, but we'll get there.
No.
The model that I'm seeing is for companies, it's going to be you're working remotely, and then once a quarter or twice a year or something like that, you have a team offsite where you can focus much more on the personal bonding and not as much on the work, because that's being done outside of that. So there's going to be specific intent for that socialization, for those bonding moments. And I think that's at least going to solve the problem better than what we have today, the options we have today.
Yeah.
As a freelancer, it's pretty hard to find a community as a freelancer. Right now, the options are pretty scattered. There's a lot of different people on a lot of different platforms. What we found is that the community aspect is really more of a feature for a larger platform than it is a platform in and of itself. You might have heard of other platforms that are trying to create digital nomad communities. What we're finding is that creating a community on top of the rental product we have, which is a different product, is actually significantly more impactful than just having a community standing on its own and kind of trying to drive that community. We're creating a very like-minded community of people around the world that we're creating shared experiences, as I mentioned. And they come from all different backgrounds. Some of them are freelancers, some of them are employees, some of them have never had a job in their life. Some of them are just working for themselves on a small business. There's all sorts of different people that we're bringing together. So I think that a company like ours is a little bit more poised to solve the community aspect than some of the other community-only platforms that have come previous to us. But time will tell. We'll see about that.
Yeah, but it's very interesting. So as an Orca member, you have three types of communities, right? So you have your work community, you are maybe employed, maybe you're working as a freelancer, so you are in your projects. And on the other hand, you have your international community of Orca members, and then you have your local community of people living in the same city, right? So maybe tell us one or two interesting stories about how people, maybe yourself, maybe you have had a very interesting community meeting in one of the cities where you're located already, or let us know some stories of your community feeling, or what is the best in community life.
Yeah, so as far as the Orca community goes, at least, whenever we have multiple members in the same location, we will always host some sort of community event. So just a few weeks ago, we offered to our members to have a little beginner salsa class in Mexico City, something that's culturally relevant.
Have you been there yourself, or you were there?
I have
yourself?
not. It's on my list. It's on my list. Okay. I have not yet.
Okay. What is your best community meeting in Orca or outside of Orca as a digital nomad? Let us know a little bit about your own stories.
Yeah, that's really difficult. I've had so many wonderful meetings. I'd say the most fun that I have is getting to a new location, seeing that we have a couple of Orca members there, and then just grabbing lunch with them, learning about them, getting to know them, understanding their history and their worldview, and then talking about the place that we're in, maybe the different recommendations that we have for each other, wherever that might be. I think that there's a very organic way that people that are living the same type of lifestyle can hang out with each other and not have so much work-related pressure, personal-related pressure. It's just kind of very open and unforced. This is one of the things that we really love about co-living is that there's this community built into it. We just don't like anything else about co-living, which like I would much rather have my own utilities and whatnot. So we're trying to take that community aspect from co-living where you can just hang out with people and it's not so high pressure and it's not so forced, and bring that idea into our community. When you're living with somebody, it's more forced. When you're living in a Selena, it's a little bit more forced. But when you're living with Orca, it's very not forced. It's very casual and it's wonderful. So I've had a lot of awesome meetups with members all over the world. I just got dinner with a member last night here in Medellin, Colombia. And yeah, people are just super friendly and they want to share and they want to talk and they want to hang out. So it's been wonderful getting to meet our members.
Yeah, but that shows me that you're an adventurer, right? You want to go to a new place and set up a new place, and for you, it's most fun to set up and you. But what is coming next? So, what is the next place you're setting up in Orca, or the next two places? Where will you go after Medellin?
Yeah, so me and my co-founder are in different parts of the world, just like launching as many destinations as we can. We're launching almost every week at
But
this
this is
point.
what you like, right? You want to go to new
My
places,
God,
so
the life.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
So
we are
you
our
seem to be
own
very
best
happy about
customers.
you seem to be very happy about it. To move
Yes, without a doubt.
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. We're moving relatively slowly. We're not taking vacations to all these places. We're not going for a weekend or anything like that. I've been here in Medellin, Colombia for about 4 months now. And so we're taking our time, making sure that we can actually visit the locations and test them out, make sure they're all good and they stay what they are. Our vetting process is pretty intense. So we're not just like putting listings up at random. We're trying to find the best 10 out of the top 1,000 and put a
Oh.
couple of those listings up. So it's pretty intense. So next will be Lima
But
in
you meet
Peru.
a lot. Sorry, Lima. Okay, but you meet a lot of people
Yeah.
there also, so that's very exciting, right? So you're
Oh
working
yeah.
remote, you're working online as a digital nomad. At the same time, you meet people. That's really exciting. And so Lima will be the
It's
next.
great.
So you will be excited to whom you will meet there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a little bit of a cheat code because I know a couple people there already, but I'm very excited to be there. I've never actually been, so this is gonna be my first time going down. And my co-founder is currently in Tokyo. He's going to be launching a couple of places in Japan. We're launching New Delhi pretty shortly. So we're doing a lot of the Asian destinations. We're launching Hong Kong pretty soon. So yeah, we're really all over the place, to be quite honest with you. We're trying to launch as quickly as humanly possible, trying to balance recommendations from our members for new destination launches with places that we know people would love to live. And so far, our network is loving it. So we're going to keep kind of going down the list of top places we've got. And hopefully by this time next year, we'll be in about 100 destinations.
Okay, so I think we talked nearly 15 minutes, maybe a little bit more. The idea is always so about 15, 20 minutes because we want to show that in 15 minutes we can already talk about reasonable things. We can solve it because I do the 15-minute flash coaching. Coming to our last topic, we talked about freelancing, we talked about digital nomads. Now we talk about coaching. Always we talk about coaching. What is your experience with business coaches? Have you ever been a coach yourself? Have you ever experienced coaching? So I think for digital nomads, it's very important because they are independent. But yeah, in Tec-One we say independent but not alone. So I think it's important to have it. But what is your experience? Maybe tell us one story where you have been coached or where you coached yourself.
Yeah, it's a good question. So most of my coaching experience, transparently, has been pretty informal. I don't have any like professional coaches. I don't have any executive coaches. I've never had anything like that. Although, I'm very open to doing that. I think that if you are an executive that's trying to take something to the next level, you absolutely should be investing in that sort of thing. But I've never been in that position yet. That being said, I've had the good fortune of having multiple mentors that have been very close. I've been very close with. that have kind of more informally coached me through certain processes and through certain events and negotiations and whatnot. And pretty confidently, I can say it's been invaluable. I don't think that there's a single thing that could have gone that would have been more helpful in those situations than having somebody on my side who has all the context, who knows me really well, who's then giving me personalized feedback on the things that I'm having trouble with. That's extremely valuable, especially as somebody who, you know, being a founder is kind of lonely sometimes. So you have a lot of
True.
thoughts going on in your head, and you don't exactly know what to think, and you go back and forth between some things. And having an outside perspective that is not aligned to be uh, not is not incentivized to be, financially burdensome to you, who's just incentivized to provide you with the best advice possible. That is extremely valuable for those couple of people at the top. So I highly recommend it, though I've not had the chance to be in that professional setting myself yet.
Yeah, but this is a very important advice. Also, informal coaching is very valuable.
Yeah.
But I would say, this is my point of view. In the formal coaching, of course, you pay the coach, and this is a reason why you really take it seriously. I think in the informal coaching, you really have to tell your coach or a mentor that he is able, or it's his duty to tell you also the unpleasant things, right? Because typically, if we do it in these informal settings, then it's like a friendship, and the coach things or the mentor things, he only can tell you the nice things, and we want to be friends. But I think it's very important, particularly in the informal settings, that you are very open, and also the mentor and the advisor or coach, or how you want to name him, is very, very open, and also tells you the unpleasant things and the problems and the problems he sees, right? Or she sees. And then I think informal coaching is as valuable as formal coaching if you find one and if you have a very good mentor. But I think this is very important. Yeah, do you agree?
Definitely harder to find. I agree with you. I think that having a mentor that has gone through the things that you're trying to go through is extremely valuable. Trying to learn from their learning curve can speed up your processes quicker. So the alignment there is definitely very important.
Yeah, that's so true. I think the best coach is somebody who has done the same steps before you and shows you these steps, like a role model, right? And this is so. It's never that one coach is good for everybody. So of course I want to sell my coaching, but I would also say I'm not a good coach for everybody, right? So it's important that we find a relation, and that we really find the best fit, and this is very important. So if you're looking for a coach, and this is true for everybody who sees that, look for somebody who has faced the same problems as you before, who has gone the steps already, who was successful in the steps, and can give you valuable advice. And also, I think the factor, the social factor needs to fit, right? You need to have some you need to fit together, right? And that's very important.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Okay, but now we have one offer for everybody who sees that, and for everybody who uses the Tec-One voucher code, right? So if you go, so can you let us know where you need to go, what you get on Orca Pass, and about this voucher offer, Tec-One voucher, and then we will also put it in the comments of this podcast, so everybody can see it later on if he sees it, and can get, I think, 20% off, right?
Totally, yeah, that's exactly right. So if you use the Tec-One discount code at checkout, you will receive 20% off of your membership, and you will receive $100 off your first month of rent. So whenever you're ready to rent through us, go ahead and sign up with that code, and I'm excited to help you out.
That's exciting. That's amazing. Thank you for this offer, Devan. And I wish you all the best for your project. When did you start again with Orca Pass?
We launched in April of this year, so about 8 months ago.
So very young startup. I wish you all the best. I'm so excited about young startups. I like it. I did it 3 times already. You did it more often, I know. So for you, it's already yeah, maybe not easier, but you're used to it, to launching new startups. But I wish you all the best, and I think you will make it. I think there's a need for it, for digital nomads, for freelancers, and for everybody who is working abroad remotely. And yeah, thank you very much for joining this podcast. Thank you, Devan, that you answered my question, that we could talk together. It's really, I'm really happy that I know you and that we could have some interesting chats already before and also in this podcast. And yeah, we will stay in contact also with you, with the audience. I hope you will watch every episode which come out every Friday. We have a new episode, and stay tuned and find out what's next.